Shahid, Vishal, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the UK Asian. 8 years in the making. Why has it taken so long, Vishal?
8 years in making.
Well, I mean, or perhaps even longer than that. But the completion of the trilogy, fans have been waiting for 8 years, or a little bit less than that, isn't it? Why has it taken so long?
Years, because I wanted to get away from Shakespeare for some time, because I wanted to check myself whether I can say original stories without Shakespeare or not. So it was just, I have to recheck myself.
Do you think you've got Shakespeare out of your system now?
Yeah, in terms of tragedies, I think. But I really like to keep going back to it.
Okay. Comedy next. Comedy next. I was just speaking to a couple of my colleagues outside, and is it necessary to have read Hamlet to enjoy this film? I mean, how much of there's a certain amount of Shakespearean or snobbery involved with Shakespeare in certain quarters, at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, how aware and how much of a knowledge do you have to have in order to enjoy this? Do you think?
Nothing. Actually, as an audience, you don't need to know anything about it. But as a student, if you want to see, then you can find those parallels in Hamlet and Haider. But as an audience, it's an original film.
And Shahid, I mean, how kind of, when did you first, for instance, discover Shakespeare, and how deep did you have to delve into Shakespeare and Hamlet in order to play this role?
Well, my father's somebody who's loved Shakespeare always, so I've heard about Shakespeare from him so much. It's a part of our syllabus, so a little bit of exposure. I think The Merchant of Venice and a couple of others happens very early. But you usually read abridged, shorter versions of the larger stories, so to say. But Shakespeare is Shakespeare. Everybody knows. Most people know about him. Everybody has different versions. I don't know how many people have truly spent a lot of time reading Shakespeare. I wouldn't say I've extensively read Shakespeare, but I am aware of him. I've read a few of his plays. Hamlet, for me, was an amazing opportunity. So, of course, I did delve in a little bit of research. A lot of it had to do with conversation with Vishal, so I watched Russian Hamlet. Honestly couldn't get through it because to watch it on film, it was 1960s version, it was in black and white. So I kind of honestly got a little bored after a certain point and couldn't get through it. And which is why it's so crucial that this adaptation is contemporary. Because I think it's meant for the youth of today. They need to be able to associate and connect with it. And that's what's so unbelievable about Shakespeare, is that you can reinvent the backdrop and the situations, but the human drama and the human emotions, like Vishal has been saying over and over again, is timeless. It's just timeless. I mean, I can connect with every emotion that most characters in Hamlet go through. I could connect with all of them. But eventually the attempt is to remove the humongous weight of making Hamlet and playing Hamlet, so to say, as an actor, and put it on the side and just focus on being Haider. Because that's the simple journey that one needs to take. So we're just telling a story.
Because the human tragedy and the human drama, but the politics for me is far more compelling. And the most interesting part of the whole project is the fact that, as you mentioned, Bashar al-Pir, it's a phenomenal book, The Curfew Night, and there's a great line in the book where it says, Srinagar is a medieval city that's been destroyed by a modern war. I mean, is that the kind of sense that you got when you guys started filming? What were your first reactions, Shahid, first with Kashmir, and what the situation on the ground is?
I think to begin with, the Curfew Nights, the book that you're talking about, was written about Kashmir in the 90s. Am I right, sir, about that?
Yeah.
Because those were his growing up years.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I met him. He seems like a really nice guy, and I had a few interactions with him. He's very passionate about the fact that this film was getting made. So I think things are very different today as opposed to how one would read of them in the book. But the film is based in the 90s. My first impression when I got there was it's very strange, it's very ironic, but you feel like you come to this extremely beautiful place but at the same time, there is a sense of pain there. You feel it in the air. It cannot be explained, but it's there. But it's so beautiful, and the people are so warm, and you feel rather proud of the fact that something like this is a part of your country, and you feel a bit stupid about not having experienced it earlier. We shot for about 55 days for the film, and probably had a rather undisturbed schedule. Usually when you're shooting a film out, which is in the heartland of India, it does get difficult to shoot because there's crowd control issues, blah blah blah. Because you're not shooting.
And there were a couple of issues in there.
There always are. There always are here and there. But in general, for example, we shot this one song called Dismal, which we shot at this place called Mutton, and there's this sun temple there, which is in the middle of the village. And we shot the whole song there for 5 days, and we had about 7,000-8,000 people who sat all around us and watched the shooting and were there just to have a good time and get entertained and see something that hasn't happened for them for such a long period of time. And the one thing that I felt from them was just a lot of love. I never felt any kind of discomfort at all. So I actually would cherish this experience that I've had of doing this film in Kashmir. And because I'm playing a local character, I'm playing a local Kashmiri, maybe somewhere that heart-to-heart connect has also happened because one is playing that role.
But I mean, as an actor and particularly as a filmmaker, there is no escaping the politics and the ground realities there. I mean, obviously, Kashmir is very topical as well because the Armed Forces Special Powers Act and all of that. Is that something that you kind of researched and you delved into and you've associated with the narrative of Haider?
Yeah, of course. If you're going into Kashmir and if you're singing song in Dal Lake boats, so it's not there anymore now. And that's what Bollywood has been doing for a long time. And because one song had to be picturized in Kashmir earlier, before the things got worse in 90s. But definitely since 90s, the Armed Forces Special Power Act is there, and the disappearances are there. So they are part of the narrative, they are part of the story.
And did you find yourself kind of empathizing with the people there? Did you find yourself siding with the people or siding with a particular side of the argument?
As a filmmaker, you can't side with anybody because you can see the irony of the situation, and of course you have to empathize with the people who have gone through this conflict. And that's why Shahid's character, the Haider character, is a local Kashmiri, because we wanted to see it from the inside. What a common man who had got nothing to do with either side of the conflict. What they have gone through in this past 25 years. So you have to, because the common man who has no political agenda, who has just wants to live his life peacefully over there, wants to have a normal family life, and how they are being pushed or dragged into the conflict and became the victim.
How, I mean, from the outside world, and you've visited there now and you've shot there, you have this kind of very intimate knowledge of the area. How accurate is the portrayal of the ground realities in the media and what you both saw in Kashmir? How do they tally, or is there a huge disparity? How bad is it on the ground?
The ground reality, I mean the media, as far as Indian media is concerned, Kashmir is not on that agenda. Even unless something really drastic happens, it's not reported. But if you read the local paper, it's all full of politics. Everything, as the people are dying. All the conflict or the protests are happening every day over there. So the local media is full of that. But outside Kashmir, so there is a difference of portrayal. But when you go to Kashmir, the first thing you see, as he said, the pain in the air, and there is a lurking kind of fear, and you see the love, the tourists, and the people,
Beauty.
and the beauty, and their bread and butter is the tourism.
Yeah.
So they really value their tourists. So if you go over there, I mean, as a tourist, it's the best and safest place.
As a human experience, it's awesome. You interact with people. The fact that what Vishal sir is saying, that they just were happy that a film is being shot, because that means that it's providing more opportunities for the common man. And I think Haider is a film which is talking about, and it's not just about Kashmir, it could be any disturbed area. You know, it's talking about when circumstances are a certain way, which actually the person getting affected by doesn't really have too much to do with directly, but it's a circumstance of larger factors, and the human emotional journey that these people have to take. And that for me is why I was so excited that he's taken something like Hamlet, which is all about human drama, and placed it against that backdrop. So even Haider as a film always stays about people. I don't think it's largely to do with human beings and human nature, and I don't know how else to put it, but it's a very personal film. I don't really think that Haider is a film which is, you know, trying to make large statements which have a political say per se. I would feel it's a film which just is expressing the journey of these individuals and expecting you to connect with them at a human level, and that is actually larger than everything else.
It's got, obviously it's a sensitive subject and very topical as well, with Europe, Shamila, and interesting that you said disturbed areas. And this month we've already had one film banned because you know, the association with the Indira Gandhi assassination as well. Is that a cause for concern, that because given that it's quite a sensitive subject?
It's a fictional film.
Yes, but
not really based on
any
fact per se.
Sure, but then I mean you're filming and you're exploring a topic that has caused some concern for the Indian government for a long time. And does that cause you concern, or you're Vishal Bhardwaj, you can overcome that?
No, you know, I have been very faithful, truthful and honest to the both perspective. So that's why the film has also been cleared in the censors.
Okay.
And so I don't see, because that was, to be honest, that was my concern, that how would the people who are sensitive about this or who can react. But I think because it's emotionally, it's connecting so well with the basic emotion of the human that you forget that politics. The politics is very apparent in the background, but you forget.
What is your response to this particular Punjabi film being banned?
Yeah, I mean, one has to see the film, you know. Though I think in a democracy, no film should be banned. And as far as my knowledge goes, no film has been banned in India. Only the films which have been made by government have been banned, which the NFDC, Indonesian Film Development Corporation, has made.
Yeah.
That has been banned in the past, but no film, including Kissa Kursika, was banned. If the negative was burnt, but 1 year later it was remade and released. Bandit Queen was banned, but then in the court, you know, it was released. There were special shows for women and all those kind of things. So one has to actually look at the material, but it's in a democracy. It may take time, but I think if film should be seen, it will be seen by the people.
Finally, I just wanted to say, I mean, we've seen about 20 minutes of rushes of the film. It looks fantastic. You are, I mean, from what we've seen, are phenomenal. What is it with you shaving off all your lead actors' hair?
Yeah, I remember last year.
Is there someone else who did this with? I thought it was the first. I feel betrayed.
is that symbolism? I mean, what does it symbolize?
I think first, you know, I remember last year when we met, we all of us met in that press room, that old, you know, where there was an interaction with the
yes, the press club, yes,
the press club, the press club.
Yeah.
So when the first time I announced about Shahid being there, I had so many questions. How do you think Shahid can play this? How do you think Shahid can play this? And not from you, but many, I remember very journalists were pouncing at me.
Yeah.
How can you imagine Shahid playing a Hamlet?
Yes.
So, there's the answer, because I had confidence in him. And shaving of the head, I think men love their hair more than women. So it's a kind of the sadistic pleasure.
In this day and age of metrosexuality, yeah, of course. I mean, can he be called your muse now? I mean, 2 films now, or 2 films.
No, he's my friend. He's more than he's my friend, and it's a beautiful relationship of an actor-director, which really you find. And after I think 8-10 years of as a filmmaker or more, 14 years, yes, I think I have found an actor with whom I have a personal friendship. Otherwise, it's very difficult to make friends with actors.
Just to wrap up, and this is something that I wanted to raise with you, because because I'm such a huge fan as well. Is I mean, we've seen the film, we've seen some of the film, beautiful, but it is marginally frustrating, because as a journalist, I wish I could have seen the entire thing before I came to interview. And this is something that Hollywood does. Why is Bollywood reluctant to do preview screenings for the press?
I mean, yes, preview screenings before a month is a suicide, but definitely it should not be on a Thursday.
We were having this conversation actually in the car. Vishal sir was having exactly the same conversation.
And this conversation we also had at the press club,
right?
Because Indian filmmakers are so insecure to show their film, but this time we are planning to do a screening like 4 or 5 days before, or whenever a screening should be done. Like if it's week before, we would like to share it with the critics.
At least a week before.
Yes.
But Vishal, Shahid, thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Shahid.